Welcome to another edition of Google is Evil. Formerly What the Fuck, but whatever. Me video. Yeah, whatever. Inmendham video. Yeah. Made 3 videos this week. So, extra. 2 of them on money and cash. Subjects I've been over before when talking about the economy. So I won't go on about it. It's sort of an unpredictable system in the sense that you're really just saying when is it going to fail, right? It's not really an if question. It's just a when, and how bad will that be, and what will have to happen, and all that kind of crap you can talk about. But you can't really predict day and time very well yet. Yeah. You have to start seeing the boat starting to sink before you can start saying how fast is it going to sink. And so they have enough gimmicks and enough bullshit in the system that, they can keep it floating. I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, frankly, I would have guessed it would have collapsed long ago. Predicted the collapse 15 years ago, maybe. And obviously, so I learned from that experience that you can't go by rational signs, and that the system is being kept alive by irrational things, like FDIC insurance, for example, where they have a fund. The insurance fund has $100 billion in it, and they've insured $7 trillion worth of assets. So you can sort of figure out, I think, without working too hard, that you're not going to be able to pay this insurance to too many people, right? I mean, the first few victims will get their compensation and then they'll run out of money and they won't be able to do this insurance thing. And if they do what you might guess they would do to fix the problem, which is print more money just to pay the insurance, then you're going to get paid money that won't be worth anything. So you'll be insuring money that will be inflated out of meaning anything. The loaf of bread will be $50, and so you got your money back, but you got money back that's not worth anything. So anyway, that kind of stuff is what's going on. Stuff that's just not going to work. So when the hurricane hits, the bankruptcy starts to happen, it'll escalate, and it'll just be a chain reaction of bankruptcies, and yeah, it's going to be a big problem. But who knows when it's going to happen? Yeah. Soon or later, don't know. Can't predict. I'd say sooner rather than later, but I've been wrong before, so there's no point in me saying it because I don't have much credibility as a prognosticator of doom, because yeah, like I said, my mistake was I just, the gimmicks they've come up with are so crazy that you wouldn't have thought it would be a possible fix because it's so stupid in the long term. Stupid. So it's, it obviously can't work. It can just, you just fake it. You just fake your way through being alive. But you're really a zombie kind of thing. Anyway. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, rehearing those arguments, the Fed, how the Fed works and how banks lend money, that's basically the subject. And there is a bigger picture to it. The whole idea of how anything gets done is there has to be somebody, workers have to be paid to do work. And obviously you want a system where you can rather liberally incentivize people to do work. But obviously you don't want to pay somebody to do work that's not productive. It doesn't accomplish anything, doesn't make any value, because then you can't recapitalize the product of their work into more investment. So you can't make a kind of productivity that you can use the efficiencies you've gained, the time you've gained. So it's sort of like you understand that a task could take a long time, like getting water. You could have to walk to a stream that's a mile away. And then you can come up with mechanisms. You could pay somebody to come up with a mechanism that, where a string takes the bucket to the mile away, and then it's not a bucket, it's a pipe. You start getting more and more efficient, and you start saving more and more time, and that means you can do more and more other work, and generate more productivity and more productivity. So it's all really just about incentivizing people to work. And that's the engine of progress, is people working. So you want to create incentives for them to work, and providing a liberal mechanism to create those incentives is what you want. But you don't want a bunch of schemers and shysters who are creating fake businesses and things that aren't real. They're not real productive work. And you don't want redundancy. It's not very productive to have 3 different cable companies put the same infrastructure on a bunch of telephone poles, that kind of thing. So you want to try to evade where you can horrible redundancies where everybody has to pay for so much more in the system. Or you could even argue systems like Google, where you're paying the advertising price, the huge inefficiency of forcing businesses to essentially pay Google to do business. It's a business tax. And every consumer has to pay. The business wants to be recognized as a business, and so they have to pay to put a commercial on to be recognized as a business that has a product to sell. So just to have a billboard, so to speak, that you can see, they have to pay a company, and that's the part that's very inefficient. Why bother with that? Why not just put all the billboards on a page, and then we'll all rate them, in some credible system of ratings. It'd be so much more efficient. We'd pay so much less to accomplish the same task, which is giving a business the opportunity to say, I'm here and I have something of value to perhaps sell you, that kind of thing. So we're paying for it's a huge price we're paying. So even if you don't watch the ads, even if you don't see the ads, you're still paying for the ads. All right. So lots of inefficiencies in the capitalist system of encouraging work. Lots of unproductive work, redundant work, useless work. 2 cops showing up to get a cat out of a tree kind of bullshit. Anyway. Yeah, so that was the videos on the economy, here and here. Now I have to go here and here. Yeah, these videos. This one and this one. Yeah, this is the one I did today. Okay, so it's a comment video, so we'll jump through that one a little bit. Various kinds of subjects, and yeah, but some subjects are really hard to have a conversation about. War and peace. It's kind of a big subject. Whoa, that's too loud. Too loud for me. Maybe, possibly too loud even for you. Alright, somewhere around there should work without too much echo. Adversity shows up, and I conquered adversity. So just talking about what motivates people in life, whether they're being driven by fear of failure or being driven by the glory of success. And the argument that I would make is that now the real game is you're running from the fact that failure sucks and it's uncomfortable, and that's it. The discomfort of the failure is the real driving force, and no amount of comfort is actually all that comfortable. You're never as comfortable as you think you're going to be. The food is never quite as good as you hope it is, kind of thing. Sort of. It's probably not a good analogy because, sometimes food is really good. It's yummy and such. Yeah. Jump ahead a little. You're not playing the right game. Probably could move this over. I don't know if it matters. Moving something over. Well, that's kind of a. So anyway, the comments are usually useless, and yes, this. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's not likely somebody's going to say something that's going to surprise me in terms of being some sort of wow, what a great idea, what a great thought, or what a great, So that tends to not happen. And then some of the subjects, a lot of them, I expect them to be counter arguments because that's what motivates people, is making counter arguments. But the thing that surprises me is there's people who they know better, they know it's right, and they just make a mess out of the right answer by trying to say it some other way or say it in some other context that just is totally useless to the purpose. They don't improve the argument, which is disappointing. The American Constitution, but yeah, some constitution. Okay, so just talking, I'm for a world government as long as it's a really good one. Yeah, it's better than the United States government, better constitution, better law and order, more accountability for cops and judges and all of those things. I'm for a strictly accountable government that provides all the liberty you need and only restricts your ability to be too offensive, your freedom to be too gratuitously obnoxious. Even come up with rational strategies in defense of their causes is so just more political talk, sort of, about, it shouldn't come to war, and if you're an advocate for something, your advocacies can't be full of hypocrisies, and, it's got to be for something real, a real outcome, what are you doing for the future should always be the question. How is the future improved by your advocacy? The whole idea of being conscripted. Alright, so yeah, that's a tricky part. I mean, there should always be, rationally, if you're going to say to somebody you're going to be a soldier and fight for a cause, yeah, you have to give the mercenary their due. So if you're not going to reward them, compensate them, then it seems very illegitimate. Nobody should be forced to go fight in a war where they haven't been bribed into it. Not extorted, but bribed. Because, it's kind of serious business, frankly. I wouldn't take kindly to fighting some cause, okay, because most causes can't be defended as being good for the future. Infinity thing just doesn't mean anything, because first there's things that are, impossible even in. Alright, so this relates to a comment about the infinite universe idea and multiverses even, and there's just so much of it and blah 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 blah, and so somehow everything's already been done before and it'll happen again and you can't evade it and blah blah blah, and it's, to me, that's all superfluous conversation to anything that really matters. It only has value in one sense, that there might be this tiny potential, okay, that we can take our intelligence and, maybe there's a plug that, the universe is a video game and you can unplug it. Maybe there is such a catch, and maybe we should look for that. But until you've figured out that's not possible, I suppose you can make some defense of us pursuing. But it doesn't change the argument that the basic function of life is just fish pretending they're important. So we're self-important fish, and we're just living out little soap operas. I mean, right now you could go, you could go under the ocean and you could take a camera with you and you could film some fish, and you could give them names, and they sort of have a certain territory and certain habits, and you could write a whole little story for the stupid fish. What's the difference between that stupid fish's life and yours? Yeah, same game they're playing, same game you're playing. I just want to feel better. I'm driven by my impulses. I mean, what is the average human doing that's any different than the stupid fish? Not much. Really unproductive. So pointing out just how conversations about cause, the first cause or the last cause for that matter, they just really aren't relevant to understanding that we are robots just living out existences that are so dictated by circumstances and so predictable and so programmed, and it's really insidious to waste all of this torture for a robotic, badly performed ballet. What's his evolution story? And so clearly, yeah, so God doesn't answer any questions, but you still got, where did he come from? What's his first cause? How did he evolve? Blah, blah, blah. God doesn't answer any questions that matter about what's worth investing in and what's not worth investing in. And we shouldn't let greedy scoundrels just make these decisions. Yeah, so sort of related to the economic videos a little bit, but it was a different comment, but whatever. Evils of capitalism, in terms of the evil isn't the fact that it's good to have incentive economics. That's what I would call my economics, incentive economics. It's good to give people incentives to work harder and do more. It's no good to give them birthrights to ownership, and there's and it all should be earned, frankly. And you have to account for the fact that some people will not be, there are going to be people who are defective, and they're just not going to be able to compete or earn it. And they're part of the liability of playing the game, is you have to take care of the people who can't, hopscotch properly. Now, this is a nice little statement about the nature of this conflict between. All right, so I went on a bit about this, the duality question. Are you being pushed through your life, or are you being pulled through your life? Are you being pulled by the light of accomplishment and victory, or are you being pushed by the negative of being on the ash heap of failure? Yeah, in the process of thinking about how to make this argument to a universal audience. So yeah, this is about just how to make an argument, how to writing books or doing this or doing that. Yes, obviously the ideal is to consolidate all of this conversation I've had for 20 years in trying to communicate, and learn some lessons from it about who you're communicating to and how you need to communicate to them and all that kind of crap. And putting all of that information, into the construction of this simple argument. Yes, we evolved. We're robots. We're substantially programmed by really silly notions and memes and physical impulses. And it's really just a story about addiction. And frankly, it's not a good story. We're paying way too much for way too little product. We can't do anything in the universe that really has value. The universe doesn't need to watch us sing and dance. It's not going to be entertained. Standing and our knowledge of the world. And so in some sense, without the Inquisition, they've lost all their... Okay, so I was just talking about how religion keeps... the idea is that we will progressively get to... Much of what I'm saying will be said in the future by more people, because it's the facts, it's the truth, and you can see the staircase now. You can see that's where the truth lies, is in this, this really uninteresting universe. And we just have to get through these phases. So the first phase of stupidity was religion threatening people actually off the staircase. I mean, they were actually, we don't want you getting intelligent. You can't do the fact thing. We don't accept facts, and so we'll kill you if you suggest to people that there's some other truth than our truth. So that's gone away, but now you still do have all these institutions, and I guess science has become the enemy of intelligence because it jumps to all these fancy, it attempts to satisfy people's aspirations to be more than they are, and so it talks a lot of wooey shit now. So in a way, but it's not nearly as effective as the threats of religion, so I don't think it's going to stop the truth. Okay, the little phantasmagorical, excited little science people really aren't going to do much to stop the hard facts from leaking into reality. Quantum will not provide a meaning to life. You're not going to any singularities. Bankrupt. And when that's found out, then there's going to have to be a big fight over who should have a house and who shouldn't. So I am talking a little bit about the economy stuff and how the real game is the cleanup. And that game will be, it's easy to clean up in a sense that you just try to keep everything still working. Everything's working, right? Businesses work. People fix the cable lines, people pave streets, people do stuff, okay? They grow crops, they do all this crap. All of that part of the economy is working, and you just have to keep that part working while you redo the part that was bullshit. So 50% of the people could lose their job, and it really won't change whether you have food and cable. It won't change any of the important stuff. And so that'll happen. And now there has to be some kind of pause in the system where those people don't end up having to live under a bridge, because they become obsolete or useless. Well, it's been revealed that they were useless. And it's been revealed that, being a yacht builder, we're not going to need one of those. The day after the Depression starts, you're not going to need yacht builders. There's going to be lots of people that aren't going to have a job. And they're going to have to be relocated to doing productive work instead of service work to fake rich people. All of that stuff's going to change. And you just have to have somebody smart enough to know that, you just need a little transition period where you redeploy people to doing Hoover Dams and doing productive work instead of unproductive work. So you just need somebody capable of keeping everything running while we basically have to create a new dollar bill, a new currency. That will be the game, in my opinion. Alright, and that was the end. Alright then. Yeah, looks like that's the end, pretty much. Okay, so, that's probably enough of a video. So, 3 videos, so, not bad. I might do some more economics videos, just because the 2 I did were pretty specific to narrow subjects, and maybe it's a good idea to do the overview of the whole fakery of the stock market and how the stock market plays a role in all of this debt spending by the government. That all of this debt the government is creating just makes the wealthy wealthier. It just goes directly into the stock market. It goes into the purchase of their commodities, and in doing so, bubbles the prices of their commodities, making them richer. And that there's no way to pay the debt back, because to pay it back you have to crash the market. You have to devalue by not creating more debt assets, but more what's the right word? Taking assets off the market. No, putting assets on the market, real assets. Point is if we pay our debt back, it takes money out of the markets. That's the point. Paying debt doesn't make markets go up. Making debts does. All right. So anyway, So that's obviously why nobody's ever going to voluntarily crash the markets. I mean, deliberately and willfully accept that as a price paid, because everybody's dependent on this fake acceleration growth in their wealth that doesn't have anything to do with working. And that's a bad dependency. So anyway, that's enough of a video. So, yeah, till the next time and such. This has been a GoogleIsEvil, donotgod.com video presentation. Thank you for your attention and maybe participation. I'm glad people comment. I mean, but I'm just not very impressed by the comments. It's just the truth. But anyway, till next time and such.